This is the ADV-6000, the perfect machine for all types of sewing. Hello, it is Claire from Banyan Sew Centre here, and in this video we're going to be chatting about the ADV-6000 from Happy Japan, your sewing machine that can also be turned into an embroidery machine. So let's get into it. So this machine is fantastic for all types of sewing, whether you're a dressmaker or a quilter. You've got more than enough stitches to play with here, from your utility stitches, including multiple different buttonhole stitches, and those are one-step buttonhole stitches, so it makes your life so much easier, your decorative stitches, and even your alphabet as well. You've also, of course, got the essentials like your stop-start button. You can also use your foot control if you prefer, whichever suits you best. Your speed controller, as well as your one-touch slow button, which is perfect for when you get into those corners where you want to be really precise. Additionally, you've also got your one-step needle threader, which is an absolute game changer and makes your life so much easier. You've got a really nice amount of throat space on this machine, as well as also getting your knee lift as well, which makes your life so much easier if you're working with your bigger, bulkier fabrics, maybe your slippy fabrics, and you need to put both hands on your fabric to stabilise it. You can just use your knee lift to lift up your presser foot and reposition. Fantastic. Additionally, you also get your extension table included with this machine. So to make your workspace even bigger for those bulkier fabrics, or for a quilt, you've got your extension table included there to make your life a bit easier. Additionally, with this machine, you also get your hard cover. So you've got something to keep it really nice and safe when you're not using it. Keep dust away from it, maybe little hands away from it as well. In the front, you can see you've got your section here where you can pop all your bits and pieces, whether it be your foot pedal, your power cable, or maybe some thread and snips as well. So with this machine, you get a whopping 7 different presser feet included as standard. So you have your standard foot, you have your satin stitch foot, you have your over edging foot, you have your blind stitch foot, your straight stitch foot, your zipper foot, as well as your buttonhole foot. So a fantastic array of accessories to really get you started, more than enough to play with. And you can also go to add on some extra feet if you wanted to at a later date. With this machine, you also get a massive 5-year manufacturer warranty. So if there are any manufacturer issues in that time, you just give us a call and we will get that sorted for you. So a fantastic warranty for your domestic sewing machine. A nice thing with this machine also is that you can purchase an additional embroidery unit to go on the machine to make it into a combined sewing and embroidery machine. You can either do this at the point of purchase, or you can add that on later on if you want to upgrade your sewing setup. So let's run through the threading up in the machine and using the screen in a little bit more detail for you. So as you come to the top, you can see that you've got 2 sets of threading guides. So if you are winding your bobbin first, as we will do in a second, you're going to be following the numbers that are white on the black background with the dashed line. So we're going from 1 underneath here to number 2 and then to number 3, and then it takes you along to your bobbin winder, which we'll go through shortly in just a second. If you are threading up your needle, you're following the dark numbers on the white background with the solid line. So again, we're starting in exactly the same place at number 1, underneath this hook here, and then we're following across and then down the front of the machine, which again, we will go through in just a second. So let's start by winding our bobbin. So we've got our thread on here with our spool cap. We're going to take it round the number 1 point, underneath here and up to number 2. We've then got a little catch here, so just make sure that's nice and secure under there. And then following the diagram on the machine, we're going past this hook and then back on ourselves and around this circle here. So I'm going to take my empty bobbin and I'm going to bring my thread and take it from inside to out through that little hole. And then I'm going to secure it onto my bobbin winder, making sure that my thread is at the top of my bobbin, and just press that on. There we go. I can then engage my bobbin winder by pushing it across to the right hand side. You can see once you've engaged that, your screen then displays a symbol to show that your bobbin winder is engaged. So it's just an extra handy feature to make sure that you know currently your bobbin winder is engaged, so you're not going to be able to sew. When I'm ready, I'm going to press my stop start button, and I'm going to start by just putting a small amount on my bobbin, and I'm just going to stop, and I'm going to use my scissors just to trim this little excess off. And then I'm going to press my stop start button again, and I'm going to let it continue filling the bobbin until it's full. Once it's then full, it will automatically stop as well. So pressing my stop start button and allowing it to fill. You can increase the speed by using your speed controller as well. And you can see it's automatically stopped there once your bobbin is full. And then I can disengage my bobbin winder just by moving it across to the left-hand side and then remove my bobbin as well. I'm just going to snip my thread and then I'll move on to inserting my bobbin. So when inserting your bobbin, we're using a top-loading bobbin system here. So I've already removed my top cover, and I'm just going to insert my bobbin into the case. And then following the arrows on the actual bobbin case itself, I'm just going to guide my thread into the correct position. So underneath this hook here, and then follow it all the way around, and then cut off any excess there. I'm then going to place my bobbin cover back in. So we're going in from the left-hand side, and then we're just going to put a little bit of pressure and secure that in place. Just make sure that that is nice and secure. If you're finding it's wobbling around a lot, chances are it's probably not inserted correctly. So do just double check that before you start to sew. Before I actually start to thread up my needle, I need to ensure that my presser foot is lifted. Now this is extremely important because what this does is it opens up your tension discs so that you can actually place your thread between it and then create tension for your stitch. So I'm just going to double check that my presser foot is indeed lifted, which it is. And then I'm going to start threading up my needle. So for threading up my needle, we're starting exactly the same place as we started when we were winding our bobbin. We're going through number 1, round, and now we're going across past number 2, past number 3, and down the front of the machine. We're then going up and around to number 5, and then back down towards our needle, and number 6. And then we are going to take our thread and pop it behind our thread guide. And then to use our needle threader, we're going to pop our thread in between that white plastic piece and the metal first, and then take it up to the second metal piece at the top here, and then we can just bring our thread round to our thread cutter and cut off any excess. When I'm ready, I can press my needle threader lever on the side and thread up my needle. And then personally, I just bring a little bit of extra thread out, take it underneath and to the back, and we're ready to sew. So moving across to the screen, let's run through all the different bits on there and how to select your different stitches. So you can see here you've got the depiction of the stitch we're currently on. So at the moment we're on number 1, which is a central positioned straight stitch. It's then recommending that I use the H foot. It's set so that my needle will always finish down into the material. I've then got my stitch width, which I can adjust, and I've got my stitch length, which I can also adjust. Currently, every time you select your stitch, it will come up with your default settings for the stitch width and the stitch length, which is why you've got the black around your numbers. If I go in and change that, you can see that then they become the black numbers on the white background, and then if I want to revert back, just move through and then it reappears on the default setting. If I wanted to change my stitch, say to one of my decorative stitches, I will go to this button here, which you can see on your stitch library at the top is also shown. So if I select that, that takes me to a screen where I can then run through all my different decorative stitches. It's also telling me here that I need to be using the B foot, which is your satin stitch foot, for any of these decorative stitches. Currently it's set so that any stitch I do will just go on repeat, but you'll see as we select stitches this will change. So I can just scroll through my different decorative stitches here. So let's say I wanted to do a car. I can pop that on and then say we'll add a bike. So you can see that the sequence of stitches has started to appear, and also this has changed. So this is now telling me that it is going to do these 2 stitches as sequenced. It is then going to finish and tie off my stitch. If I wanted to add in the function of cutting my thread as well, I just go to this button and press that, and you can see now the scissors have appeared. So really simple. If I wanted to just stitch on repeat those 2, I just press this again, and you can see that symbol for repeat has come back up. To erase my sequence, I just press the erase button. There we go, and I'm starting from scratch again. If I want to go back to what I would call the home screen, which is just your normal straight stitch, just click on this button here, and you can see it's taking me back to that straight stitch in the central position with my default settings on there. For my standard utility stitches, we're going to this button here, which you can see is shown at the top as well with your stitch library. So again, I'm selecting that, and then I can run through all my different stitches. So for instance, if I run through to one of my buttonhole stitches, you can see it's now telling me I need the F foot to be able to do this stitch, which is your buttonhole foot. Again, it's got my stitch width and my stitch length into the default settings. I can go in and change that if I would like to as well. I'm going to take it back to that home page. I'm now going to access my alphabet. So if I wanted to do, say, a loved one's name, all I need to do is go to this symbol here. I'm going to press it once for my capitals. Again, you can see the screen's changed, so it's saying we need the B foot, again, your satin stitch foot, and you've got all your letters here, and you can just scroll through those as you please. You've then also got your space settings here, so you've got a slightly wider space and a narrow one, and then you go through to your numbers. Again, you've got this symbol here to say that it's going to stitch whatever you do on repeat. So, for instance, if I wanted to do Happy Japan, I find my H. I now want to go down to my lowercase letters, so I'm going to press the alphabet button again, and you can now see that it's gone to my lowercase letters. So I'm just going to find the letters I need and pop in the sequence I want. There we go. And I want my uppercase, so again I'm just pressing my alphabet button again, take it to uppercase, press it again, take it to lowercase. Super simple. And then pop the rest in. There we go, and we're ready to start stitching. If I wanted to do Happy Japan on repeat, all I need to do is press this button twice and it will take you to that repeat setting. If I want to erase it, all I need to do is press this button. If I want to erase all of it, press and hold, and you will see that erases everything for you. If I go back to my standard straight stitch here, you will note that you can't adjust the tension on this particular screen. To go to the tension, all you need to do is press this button here, and that takes you to your tension screen. Now this machine is fantastic because it gives you your preset tension. You can of course go in and alter that if you want to, but you have got it there as a good guideline as well. So you can see it works in exactly the same way as for your stitch length and your stitch width. When I adjust my setting from the default, it goes to the numbers on the white background, and if I take it back, I can then see it goes to the black background. If I have altered my tension and I've gone, I can't remember what my default was and I don't want to have to press all the way back through, just press this button and it will take you back to that default setting. So if we go back to our main screen, finally you've then got your settings button. So if we click on here, we're going to run through the settings. So first of all, you've got your LED lights on this machine. If, say, you're having sensitivity, you wanted to turn that off, all you need to do, press the off and then come out of your settings and stitch away. I'm going to keep that on, so I'm just popping that back to on. And then scrolling through my settings, we've then got our noise settings. So you may have noticed that as I was pressing my buttons, there was a beeping noise. If you would prefer to turn that off, say you're working in the same room as someone else and they wanted a little bit of peace and quiet, you can turn off that. So now when I go through my settings, you can see it's not beeping. For now, I'm just going to pop that back on. Also, if you are finding that the contrast on the screen or the brightness on the screen isn't enough and you want to increase or decrease that, you can of course do that just by altering on here. There we go. And again, I'm just going to take that back to the middle. And then you have your needle up down positioning. So you may have noticed, as we said earlier, that our current setting was for our needle to remain in the down position in the fabric when we finish stitching. So if, for instance, you are a quilter and you wanted to do pivoting, say on a corner, that is ideal. But if you didn't want your needle to always finish down in the material, you can set it. So we've set it to up this time, and now whenever we finish our stitching, whether we're using our stop start button or our foot control, it will always finish with the needle out of the fabric. And then last but not least, you've got your twin needle setting as well. So currently that is off, just to tell the machine we haven't got a twin needle in and we don't need to make any adjustments for that. We can of course pop it into twin needle setting and likewise take it off. To come out of your settings, you can press your setting button again and it takes you back to that main screen that you were previously on. Okay, so moving across to the main workspace of the machine, let's chat through some of the different buttons that we've got here. So you've got your start stop button, which also has a notification light in it. So you can currently see that that is on red, and that is just to indicate that something hasn't been done to allow us to start sewing. So if I put my press foot down, you can see that has now changed to green. So it's just a really handy indicator so that you know that you've done everything on that checklist before you actually start stitching and avoid any damage to your machine or your projects, of course. You've then got your reverse button up here. So just like any standard sewing machine, if you wanted to do a reverse at the beginning or the end of your stitching, just to secure that off. If you have set the machine so that it's going to automatically tie off and then snip your threads, for instance, to activate that, you just press your reverse button, and then if it's doing a decorative stitch, it will finish that stitch and then do that, or if you're doing a utility stitch, it will just finish where you've asked it to, tie off and then snip your threads as well. Moving across, we've then got a dual function button. So it works as your needle up down for when you're not sewing, but then when you are sewing, it works as one touch slow button. So for instance, if I had my speed control at maximum speed and I was doing a really long bit on a quilt and I was coming to the corner and I wanted to really slow down just so I could make sure my corners were precise, rather than having to either take my foot off the pedal or manually slowing down that speed, I can just press this button and it will take it to a really, really slow pace, say just until I get to that corner. I can then stop, pivot, and then press my stop start or use my foot pedal and back to my standard speed. So a really handy feature, especially if, for instance, you're doing something very precise or if you're working with beginners or small children as well. Then you've got your thread snip button, which is a feature I now would not be without. So really handily, this cuts your top and your bottom thread when you're finished sewing, so you can either program that in to be automatically done when you press your reverse button, or you can manually press that once you've finished stitching, of course. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to know more about this fantastic machine, we will leave the link to our website below, as well as at the top of the screen for you to access. If you have any questions about the machine, you can contact us via email, phone, or direct message. If you want to know more and keep up to date with all the latest from Barn Yarn Sew Centre and Happy Japan, like this video, comment below and subscribe to keep up to date with what we're doing. You can also follow us on all the social media platforms at either Barn Yarns or Sew Centre or even Happy Japan UK. Thank you for watching, we'll see you next time.